All right. Retools, let's look at tariff systems. A tariff is a charge in rands per measuring unit of a specific service. Tariffs are not always constant. They they change from time to time. When we look at tariffs, we shall expect you to create what we call equations, not equations. We shall expect you to have what we call expressions. Or the other word they like is, and it's called our formula. All right. Then number two, from the formula, it will be easy for you to complete or to find the missing values in a given table. This table has what we call variables, both independent and dependent. We shall look at that when time comes. We go to the other part. We shall be expected to draw a graph. This will work when we are comparing options, or we shall be looking at income and expenditure, as we shall see. All right, and it will also work when we look at cell phone tariffs. All right, having seen that a tariff is a charge per unit, so it's simply meaning now let's start with electricity. Electricity, we shall not expect you to draw a graph, nor will you have an equation, but you have to learn how to interpret it. All right, let's look at this. This simply means when you look at the table, these are blocks representing this line like that. So this is block 1, which states from 0 to 50 kilowatts per hour. These are the units for electricity, kilowatts per hour. Then, so block 1 takes from 0 to 50. So what is the maximum units that we need in block 1? There will be 50. Why? From 0 to 50. Then block number 2 looks at this. It starts at 51, it ends at 350. So how many units do we need? Now what you're going to do, for you to find out the maximum units for these other blocks, all you do is to subtract. Okay, so what are we going to subtract? We shall say 350 minus this 50 here. So here we have the maximum as 300 units. Then this other one here, it will be 600 minus 350, whereby you get 250 units. All right. Now, each unit that you've got costs this much. Each unit. And when you look at the table clearly, the more units you use, the more you pay. Yes, take note, all tariffs are VAT exclusive, simply meaning all these costs do not include VAT. If you're to calculate the cost, you have to include VAT. And remember, including VAT, we shall always multiply by 1,15. This is including. When we are excluding, we shall divide. In this scenario, we don't need to exclude. We need to include. Why? The prices do not have VAT. Your final answer should have VAT. All right, let's look at the first question. We have 1.1. Write down the tariff per kilowatt charged in block 2. So our block 2, it's this one here. Charge per kilowatt, it will be this one here. They didn't say including VAT. So you just pick your pen, you write the answer the way you see it. Okay, that would be the answer. Then determine the amount to be paid for 250 kilowatts per hour of electricity. You would say 250 units of electricity. We're going to look at this clearly, and we shall be using the table above as we calculate down. Number 1, what you're going to do, take the units used minus 50. Why do we subtract the 50? Because electricity is in block 1. That's where it starts from. But in block 1, block 1 only caters for first 50 units. So this is 250. Simply meaning it has exceeded the first block. Well and good. So you put the 50 that belong to block number 1, and you multiply each by the number or the amount per kilo unit. Yeah, take note. When you subtract these two, you remain with 200. This side, these are units, and this is the cost to be paid. Now, block one, we saw it needs 250. It needs 50 units. Block number two needs a maximum of 300, but whatever we remain with is less than 300. So simply meaning we shall need to pay for those units. And how much is each? It's 0, 0.9440. Get the answers there. Sorry. 50 times 0, 0.8375. We get the answer. This answer is 41 rand 88. I'm rounding off because money cannot be in 3 decimals. Okay, let's do the second one. 200 times 0, 0.9440. We get the answer as 188 rands 80 cents. Add up everything. Add up everything. You get the answer as 230, 68. That's how we get. But remember, this cost here does not include VAT. What do? You need to include VAT. And we said, including VAT, we multiply by 1,15. 1,15. And we have our final answer as 200 rands, 65 rands, and 28 cents. That's how we get this answer here. All right, let's take another example. Someone might be asking, what about if it exceeds? What about if it exceeds 350? We're going to look at that now. All right, let's look at an example here. Let's calculate if the cost of using 380 units of electricity. So number one, we remember we looked at this. This has 50 units. Then here we said it has 300. This is 250. So 380, it has exceeded 350 by 30. Simply meaning you've used the 50, you've used the 300. What's remaining to make it 380? Let's see the 80. So the 80 will belong to this bracket here. So for you to look for the cost, it will be so easy. You say 50 times 0, plus the next bracket is what? 8. Oh, sorry, this is 30, not. This should be 30, not. So this is 300 because it's bracket number 2 used fully, plus the 30 times 1,262. So when you add the units, they should give you 38. This is 50 plus 300, 350 plus 30, you get 38. By then, anyway, let's look. When you multiply 50 times 0, 375, what do you get? Here the answer is 41,88 plus 300 times 0,944. What do you get? We have the answers. 483 rand 20 cents plus the 30 times 1,2629 becomes 37.89. I round off my answers. So I add everything up. I add up everything. So I end up having 362 rands 97. It's not the end. Why? The person, we have to include, need to include VAT times 1,15. So your final answer becomes 417.42 cents. 417 rands 42 cents. So this will be the cost of using 380 units. All right, let's look at this scenario whereby determine the number of what? Units. One will get if they spend 591 rand 69 cents. So now we shall be working backwards. First and foremost, if you have this much money, what you're going to do, because the values you have in the table exclude VAT, the first thing you're going to do for me, please exclude VAT. Step number one, exclude VAT. Why am I excluding VAT? Because the cost I'm looking, this one already includes VAT. So the cost that I'm looking at here in the table, this one in the table does not have VAT. So what am I going to do? Let me first exclude VAT from the money the person has. I'll come and divide by 1,15. I'm excluding VAT. So I have the answer as 514 rands 51. So now this is what I'm going to deal with. So having got this much money without VAT, so number one, I will have now to subtract the 50 units, the cost for the 50 units, because this is what you start with. So we shall say minus 50 times. Remember the bracket, the 50, this 50 here is what I'm starting with, which is 50 times 0, when I do this, how many units am I catering for? I'm catering for the first 50, what? 50 units. I put them aside. All right. Then I need to subtract, find out how much is it. I remain with 472.64 rands. You see? So this is good for it's pushed to bracket number 2. But bracket number 2 needs a maximum of 300 units. And each unit is charged at 0.9440. How much is it? This will be 300 what? These are 300 units. You see? This I do this when I'm giving the money. When I'm given units, I need to do this other one here. Okay. So this money here, 472 rand, 64 cents minus the money got from the 300 units. Indeed, yeah. So I remain with 1. You see, but then I ask myself, yes, now I've gone to bracket block number 3. Block number 3, if I'm to use all the units, how much do I pay? Let me see. 250, 250, this one here. These are the number of units. I need to know how much will they cost. So if I use a full block, which is 250 times 1,12629, I need to pay how much? 315. But here, when it comes to this is less than 115. So simply meaning they use block 1, the 50 units, they use block number 3 fully. What is here? So I need to come and divide this by 2629. 2629. This one here that you see here. Together. So when I divide my answer 189,44 divided by 1,2629. Okay, I end up having 150,00. So these are also what? Units. So in total, it will be the 50 I've used in bracket 1 plus the 300 I've used in bracket 2 plus the 150 that I've used. So when I add everything here, I end up having 500 units, which is indeed right. Okay, let's look at this. Okay, now we are here. The table below shows the rates of domestic prepaid electricity. Prepaid electricity. Prepaid electricity. So we shall see. Still, you do the same thing. Block 1 caters for block 1 caters for block 1 caters for 50 units. Block 2 caters for 300. Block 3 caters for 250. Block 4 caters for whatever has exceeded the 250. It comes here. All right, that means you're looking at George. The George family used 250 kilowatts electricity the month of December. Calculate the amount they need to pay. Now, look at that. Now, another thing, take note, the prices are here, but they have not told us that they exclude VAT. So don't worry, just calculate them the way they are. Do not, please don't include VAT. It's already included. So the first thing you're going to do is to break down this into these blocks. 250, the 50 units will come here. What do you remain with? You remain with 200. Indeed, the 200 will come here. And it will stop here. Why? The person used 250. So because had it gone beyond 300, then it will bring the breaking down here. Anyway, let's come and see. We shall say 50 times 0, 7, 6 plus, here we have 200, which will be 200 units times 0, So this is 432 rands. In January, they used 351 kilowatts. Determine the difference between December and January payments. We are going to do the same. However, allow me to use a different color for January. I will use red. Now, January, this was December. January, they are talking of 351. You see? Still, you shall say the 51 units are in block number 1. So what's remaining? Whatever is remaining, it's supposed to be 301. 301 has been pushed to bracket number 2, but bracket number 2 needs a maximum of 300. So over 301, the 300 will sit here. Then what's remaining? 1. 1 will come to block number 3. Together. So the 50 that you have here has to multiply with this number. The 300 you have here, it multiplies with this number. And the 1 unit you have here, it has to multiply with this number. Let's do that very fast. 50 times 7, sorry, 0.76 plus the 300 times the 97 cents plus our 1 times 1 rand 16 cents. Multiply everything. As you add. So we add and we get the value as, you see? So this is the money, this is January. But we are looking at determining the difference. Determining the difference simply means we need to subtract. This will mean we need to subtract. What are we going to subtract? We shall subtract the cost in January minus the cost in December. Are we there? So the cost in January was 330 rands 16 cents minus 232 rands. So what is the difference? Subtract and find out the answer. So the difference is 98 rand 16 cents. That's what it simply means. Our last question, 1.3. If one pays 62 rands 25 cents for the units used in a month, determine how many units they have used or how many units they would have used. Anyway, as I told you, the last example we've just seen. Now, this is the cost. We are not looking for the cost. How? We are not looking for the cost, but we need to deal with whatever is given to us. What we're going to do now, first and foremost, we shall ask ourselves, if the person uses 50 units, how much do they pay? On your calculator, multiply there and you find out. So if the person has used 50 units, they have only paid 38. You see that? So what about if they use the 300 units in bracket number 2? 300 units in bracket number 2. They for 300, they will have to pay 291. So you see that the price used is more than bracket 1, but less than bracket 2. So simply meaning they used block 1 complete. What do I mean by complete? They used the 50. The units are more than 50 units because block 1 caters for 50. And if you use them all, you pay this much. So they used more than this. That means block 1 qualifies, but block 2 does not qualify. That means there's they didn't use block 2 completely. They used part of it. How are we going to know now? So now we shall say the 62 rands that they used minus the money for the block 1, 50 for 50 units, which is 38. Subtract it and remain with. So whatever remains comes from block number 2, which is 24 rands. So if you remain with this one, we shall divide it by the 97 cents. Why? It has been pushed to block number 2, but by how many units? By 25. So units used will be the 50